Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today for our last of our speaker series, our Better with Age speaker series, where we believe that growing old is an opportunity to grow. And today we are so grateful that you are here with us. My name is Jenna Wickens. I am the Mature Minds Coordinator with Catholic Family Services of Simcoe County. And we are delighted that you can be here with us, whether you're joining us live or watching this recording later. So welcome. You will notice that your cameras and microphones have been muted. We do say that we welcome you using the chat and question and answer features. We ask that you don't record or take pictures of this presentation. As we said, we will make the recording available later on. So as we begin today, we would just like to have a land acknowledgement. We want to welcome all visiting community members. The building that I am currently in is located on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe. The Anishinaabe include the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. Catholic Family Services respects Indigenous history and culture and is dedicated to moving forward in the process of reconciliation with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. Now, this is who we are as Catholic Family Services. We are providing help, offering hope, and changing lives. We do this through counseling and community development. Mature Minds is on the community development side, and we are grateful that we have the support of Share Life and other funders so that we can provide services for you. Joining me today is Emily Wolst. Emily is a graduate of the Master of Education program from the University of Ottawa. Through her coursework and research, she examined conceptualizations of education in diverse contexts, including the age-friendly university designation in higher education. She has worked in community outreach for several years in a variety of settings, including in higher education, nonprofit organizations, and public libraries. Emily currently works in the Office of Community Engagement and Lifelong Learning at Lakehead University as an administrator, where she develops and implements various lifelong learning programs for both the Orillia and Thunder Bay communities. Thank you so much for joining us today, Emily. We're so grateful that you're here, that you would take the time. Emily, you can take it away, do your presentation. Before we start, though, I have some important questions for you. These are would you rather, just so that our audience can get to know you. So are you a soft shell or a hard shell taco person?
Oh, I think I'm a soft shell person. Yes. Okay. Yeah, fair. Definitely.
So now if you had to choose between tacos or burgers, which one are you going for?
Tacos. I love Mexican food.
I feel that. There's variety there. You can do so many different things with tacos.
You can, yeah. So many different toppings too.
Amazing. I love that. Okay, beach or mountains?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I have never been to the mountains, so I'm going to say mountains because I like to try new things. So
I love that. And it would be beautiful. Okay. Last one. Are you a restful vacationer or an active vacationer, or does it depend where you go?
I'm going to have to say active vacationer. I'm definitely the type of person who makes like a list of everything I want to see ahead of time, and I try and fit in as much as possible. I wish I was a restful vacationer, but that's just not my personality type.
Amazing. I love that. Okay, well, on that note of you being active and ready to go, we're going to have you share your screen. Again, if you're just joining us, I'm Jenna Wickens, the Mature Minds Coordinator, and presenting for us today is Emily Wolst from Lakehead University. I hope I'm saying your last name correctly.
Yes, yeah, you are. Yeah, perfect.
All right, go ahead, Emily. If you want to share your screen, you can take it away, and we are excited to learn.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to give this presentation and to talk a bit more about age-friendly universities and lifelong learning. So this is a little bit about who I am. So I actually went to Lakehead University. I did my honors, Bachelor of Arts and Science there, and I graduated in 2019. And then afterwards, I went to the University of Ottawa and I did my Master's of Education. And I focused in adult education, but my final research paper specifically focused on lifelong learning and age-friendly universities. And I've been in my current position at Lakehead here for just more than a year, but prior to that, I did a lot of nonprofit work So I worked at Information Aurelia, I worked at an environmental organization, and I worked at the public library in Aurelia as well. So what is the Office of Community Engagement and Lifelong Learning? So this is the office that I work in, and we offer a variety of programs, courses, and workshops in a variety of areas to meet the needs of Lakehead surrounding communities. We offer programming for high school students, older adult learners, current Lakehead students, Lakehead alumni, and just general community members in both Aurelia and Thunder Bay. And so the agenda for today's webinar, I'm going to start by giving you a background to age-friendly universities. Then we'll talk about what the benefits of age-friendly universities are, as well as some of the steps and strategies that universities can use to become age-friendly. Then we'll talk about the existing lifelong learning opportunities that are offered by Lakehead and through my office. We'll talk about the steps that Lakehead is taking to become an age-friendly university. And then finally, we will, if you have a question for me at any time, you're welcome to just put it into the chat or use the question and answer feature. And I'll make sure to answer it that way. So first of all, what comes to mind when you think of the term age-friendly? You can just drop your answers into the chat there.
Well, when I think of age-friendly, I think of a place where every age is can find resources and can find what they need.
Yes, so very, very inclusive. Yeah, that's a good answer. So this is the background to age-friendly universities. So there was increased focus towards aging in the early part of the 2010s. So the World Health Organization released the Age-Friendly Cities Framework. The European Union declared 2012 as the European Year for Active Aging and Solidarity Between Generations, and the White House held a conference on aging. And so out of this research, they realized that the proportion of the world population that is made up of seniors and older adults is increasing. So we need to start ensuring that they are included in things like communities and universities. And universities are considered key players in the development of age-friendly cities because of their unique position in the community. So lots of cities have universities. The university tends to have a very strong link between the community. And so it was realized from this research that universities really played a unique role. And so we needed to ensure that they were also age-friendly. And so what are age-friendly universities? So they enable people of all ages to actively participate in university activities and treat everyone with respect, regardless of age. And these are post-secondary institutions that have endorsed the 10 principles and committed themselves to ensuring that their policies and practices reflect these principles. And so the 10 age-friendly principles, which I'll get to in a moment, they're adapted from the World Health Organization's and American Association of Retired Persons work on age-friendly communities. So in developing these principles, the researchers, they looked at the research that the World Health Organization had done and the American Association of Retired Persons, and then molded them so that they specifically fit universities. And so all age-friendly universities are coordinated through the Age-Friendly University Global Network, which is actually located in Dublin, Ireland, at the Dublin City University. And so these are the 10 age-friendly principles. So 1, to encourage the participation of older adults in all the core activities of the university, including educational and research programs. 2, to promote personal and career development in the second half of life and to support those who wish to pursue second careers. 3, to recognize the range of educational needs of older adults, from those who were early school leavers through to those who wish to pursue master's or PhD qualifications. 4, to promote intergenerational learning to facilitate the reciprocal sharing of expertise between learners of all ages. 5, to widen access to online educational opportunities for older adults to ensure a diversity of routes to participation. 6, to ensure that the university's research agenda is informed by the needs of an aging society and to promote public discourse on how higher education can better respond to the varied interests and needs of older adults. 7, to increase their understanding of students of the longevity dividend and the increased complexity and richness that aging brings to our society. 8, to enhance access for older adults to the university's range of health and wellness programs and its arts and cultural activities. 9, to engage actively with the university's own retired community. And 10, to ensure regular dialogue with organizations representing the interests of the aging population. So these are the 10 age-friendly university principles that the Age-Friendly Global Network puts forward. So these are the principles that universities are supposed to be meeting if they are to become an age-friendly university. And so how does a university become age-friendly? So these are the steps that the Age-Friendly Global Network outlines and recommends that universities should follow. So first of all, university staff should meet to review the principles and endorse them at the departmental, program, and institutional levels. Then staff should meet with the administration team that would approve endorsement of the principles. So the dean, provost, president. And then finally, a confirmation of the endorsement of the principles must be sent to the president and coordinator of the Age-Friendly Network. So it really is not a difficult process for a university to become an age-friendly university. The most difficult part is just building support for age-friendly policies and practices on campus, and specifically getting some of the higher level management to decide that this is something they want to do, that they want to become age-friendly and commit to those 10 principles. So why become an age-friendly university? What are the benefits? So one is intergenerational learning. So for example, Central Connecticut State University, in becoming an age-friendly university, they developed this program called Working Together, Intergenerational Student Senior Exchange. And it was really cool. It was like a course that the undergraduate students took with older adult learners, and they learned from each other. And they had themes that overlapped. So one was like democracy in America, and they talked about democracy over the ages and things like that. Becoming an age-friendly university also disrupts ageist attitudes towards education and learning. So for a long time, universities have been viewed as something that you just go to straight out of high school at 18 and you do your 3 or 4 year degree and then you're done with education. And that universities aren't something that older adults do because they're done. They would have done that early on. So becoming an age-friendly university disrupts that, and it changes the view towards universities and presents them as something that there's no end to. You can come to at any point. You can go back to school. You don't necessarily have to even do a full degree. You can just do a single course. You could do a certificate, even just a workshop. Becoming an age-friendly university also helps universities specifically to tap into the longevity economy. And the longevity economy is the recognition that a lot of the purchasing power that's in society right now is held by older adult learners. So they tend to have less debt. They have the time to be purchasing things in the economy. And so universities can cater to that by offering programs that are of interest to older adult learners, instead of just undergraduate students who might not necessarily have the money to take on extra learning opportunities. And then finally, they help to make universities more inclusive. So again, they recognize that universities should include everyone regardless of age. And then by becoming age-friendly, they actually are doing that, including everyone regardless of age. And so strategies to become an age-friendly university. So in the research that I did, I found that there were 3 key strategies and steps that were used by universities in their process of becoming age-friendly. So the first one was partnering with other university departments and community organizations. The second was building on existing aging-related work at the university. And the third was completing an audit of existing age-friendly policies and practices. So the first one, partnering with other university departments and community organizations. For example, the gerontology department at Central Connecticut State University developed relationships with the Academy for Gerontology and Higher Education, the local area agency on aging, nursing homes, assisted living communities, and senior centers. And they then collaborated with these organizations to build support for the age-friendly university concept by offering a half-day program to students, aging network professionals, and community members to discuss how to challenge aging-related stereotypes in Connecticut. So this is a good way, again, for universities to start getting support for age-friendly work. They can look at organizations that are already doing this type of work and then work with them. The next one is building on existing aging-related work at the university. And so it can be useful for universities to explore what aging-related work is currently being done on campus. So for example, Arizona State University drew on existing lifelong learning work that was being facilitated through the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. So this is a similar process that we're taking. Lakehead is starting to look at what work the Office of Community Engagement and Lifelong Learning is already doing towards age-friendly work, and then starting to build on that so that we can bring that work into the rest of the university and become age-friendly. And again, the University of Manitoba, they use their Center on Aging as a basis on which to build support for the age-friendly university concept. And again, LaSalle College and enhance the existing work on lifelong learning that was offered through their university-based retirement community. So again, like we don't need to, it's not like a new concept we need to come up with. We just need to find what work is already being done on campus and then expand that even more. And then finally, completing an audit of existing age-friendly policies and practices can help universities to become age-friendly because it can help them to identify age-friendly strengths and weaknesses. And this one specifically relates to the leadership on campus. I know I mentioned earlier that it can be difficult for universities to become age-friendly because they need to get support from the higher level. So for example, Michigan State University, they were not able to become an age-friendly university until they completed an audit. And then once they did an audit and they were able to prove to the executive team that, oh, like this work is already being done to be age-friendly, and this is the area that we need to improve, but this is how we can improve it, the university's executive team approved the plan, and they were able to move forward with their application to the age-friendly network to become age-friendly. And so this is an overview of the current programs that are offered by my office. So now that we have a bit of a background about age-friendly universities, what they are, what the process is to become one, I'm going to talk a bit now about the programs that we offer through my office that are age-friendly and help to promote lifelong learning. So this is just a list of them all. It's pretty long. And I'll get into detail in some of them as we move through the presentation. But the first one is third age learning. The second one is the Truth and Reconciliation Community Dialogues. And then we also do some high school programming. We have the Ontario Master Naturalist Certificate Program and workshops. We have 12 days of learning and Spring into Learning. We have EDI training. We have professional development training for teachers and leaders. And then specifically some executive leadership programming. So really the only one that is reserved for one age group is the high school programming. And that's just because of how it's set up at the moment. But I think it would be awesome if we could start bringing some intergenerational learning into that. That's one of my goals. So the first one, Third Age Learning Lakehead Speaker Series. So this was designed to provide creative and thought-provoking educational opportunities to those over 50. So it's a speaker series that's offered several times a year. So generally fall, winter, spring, and summer. And it runs for 5 weeks. And we always focus on one theme. So climate change, the psychology of happiness, immigration and migration, China and the world, and Canadian systems of power are some examples of themes that we have done in the past. Yeah. And it always runs Wednesday mornings from 9:30 to 11:15. Which includes a talk by the speaker as well as a question and answer period. And prior to COVID-19, we held them in person at the St. Paul Center in Aurelia. And it was a really great morning. So we would start at 9:30 with a lecture, and we would go until about 10:30. And then we'd have a coffee break, and everyone would get a cup of coffee and a cookie from Mariposa and connect and network with each other. And then we would go back for about half an hour for a question and answer period. So we're not doing this obviously now that we're on Zoom, but we are hoping to move to a hybrid format this fall. So we'll offer the Zoom portion as well as being back in person at the St. Paul Center, which I'm really excited about because I think that option for in-person learning is great, and it's nice to meet other members of the community. And our most recent series focused on Canadian systems of power. And so this one just ended about 2 weeks ago. And we talked about the political systems in Canada for this one, NATO and its role in the Russia and Ukraine conflict, the controversy about the Canadian homegrown vaccine, and Indigenous systems of power. And so this is what the series generally do, is they just offer a bit of an introduction to a topic in society that you might want to learn more about, but you don't necessarily want to take a full course or certificate on. And you don't want to have to do any of the work that would be associated with a course or a certificate, like tests or write-ups or anything boring like that. And so the next one is the Truth and Reconciliation Community Dialogues and Speaker Series. So this one just ended. So it was a speaker series that was focused on bringing community members and Indigenous elders, activists, and allies together to engage with the truth. And these speakers share traditional legends and teachings, their experiences growing up, geomythology, the histories of local First Nation communities, and examples of current reconciliation initiatives. And then on June 18th, so almost 2 Saturdays ago, we invited community members out to the Lakehead University campus, where they participated in a community action project together that was intended to help them get started with truth and reconciliation. So on the Saturday, we had a TB raising. So there was an elder there who shared with us TP teachings. He talked about the way that the TP was put up traditionally. So he explained that it was generally a woman would carry the water to the teepee, but men put it up. And then we also had another Indigenous elder there doing a flint demonstration and someone speaking about wampum belts. And so that was all free, and that was out at the Aurelia campus. And again, it totally opened to people of any age group. We had people there probably from 5 years up to 80. The intent was just to get people to participate in truth and reconciliation in a way that was focused on community. And the next program, so this is one that we do 4 times a year. So it's still open, still available if anyone's interested. So the Ontario Master Naturalist Program provides naturalists and those interested in nature and environmental stewardship the opportunity to broaden their knowledge and expertise of the natural world through formal training and guidance. And we say formal training and guidance, but it really is a community-based education program, and that all students are encouraged to participate regardless of their educational background or previous experiences. So there are no prerequisites for this certificate course. You don't need to have, for example, a degree in biology. You don't have to have any education at all. That's not checked before you're allowed to register for the program. It's really just anyone who's interested in learning more about nature, but they want to do it in a semi-formal way, in that they want to go to class once a week. They want to submit assignments, that type of thing. But nothing is marked. So that's the nice thing, is that it's like a course, but it's not quite as formal as an actual university course where you're marked and graded on everything. So we have 8 online modules: geology and anthropology, mammals, plants, birds, wetlands, amphibians and reptiles, invasive species, and insects. And so these modules, they include presentations and videos that were developed by the course instructor, Bob Bowles, who, if you're local to Aurelia, you might know because he's very involved with environmental organizations like Kids for Turtles, Kudashin Conservancy, that type of thing. And so then we also have weekly live classes. So every Thursday night, people Zoom in and we talk about that week, the content from that week, as well as anything that people saw. And it's really nice because doing it this way, we can include people from all over. So when we did this in the winter, we had someone join us from California, and it was really cool to see what he sent in. Like he would send in examples of birds that we obviously did not have in Canada and did not have in the middle of January. And then we also do workshops. So we offer workshops multiple times a year on a variety of subjects. So a few that we've done are mushroom identification, lichens, sedges, ferns, winter dendrology, nature journaling, and mammal tracks. And we were offering these online during COVID, but we've actually just returned to in-person workshops outside this summer. So we just ran one on birds and plants of the Cardin Alvar, and it was out at the Cardin Alvar Provincial Park about 2 weeks ago, June 18th actually. And then we have another one coming up that's on mosses and lichens, again at Cardin Alvar Provincial Park later on in July. And again, these are they're informal workshops. They're about 3 hours long. They generally include some sort of hike with the course instructor, some sort of ID guide, and it's just a fun way really to get outside, enjoy nature, and learn a bit more about what species are out there. We also offer the mushroom identification one in the fall, and it tends to be our most popular one. So if you're interested in mushroom identification, which we find a lot of people are, especially to know which ones you should stay away from and which ones you can eat, look for that on our website about the end of August. We'll put it up. Okay, and Spring into Learning, or 12 Days of Learning. So we offer this initiative 2 times a year. We offer Spring into Learning April, May, and 12 Days of Learning January, February. So what we do is we partner with local businesses to offer a learning experience. And then each opportunity includes a talk, workshop, or webinar, and then some sort of workshop materials. So for example, Spring into Learning in April, we ran a workshop called Bread 101 with Andrew. You can see his little picture here. And he is a chef and a hospitality instructor based out of Stratford. And so we mailed everyone their own sourdough starter. And then he did a 90-minute workshop explaining how to rehydrate that starter and about the basics of bread and bread baking. And then we also did the art and science of chocolate making for Spring into Learning. And we partnered with Dawn Chocolate, who is located in Aurelia, if anyone is familiar with her. And she gave each participant a little chocolate tasting kit, which is pictured here with 6 different kinds of chocolate, cocoa nibs, and something else. I can't remember what the white ones are, but they were all different types of chocolate. And then she explained the chocolate making process. So how chocolate is made right from the bean. And then she led everyone through a chocolate tasting, which was a lot of fun. She shared some things that I did not know. For example, you can tell if chocolate is quality if it snaps when you break it. And that chocolate is actually supposed to be kept cool. So she said we should not be keeping it, for example, like above a fridge or an oven or anything like that. That'll actually wreck it. And she shared all kinds of neat tips like that. And again, it was just a fun way to learn more in a super informal environment. So when we offer the 12 Days of Learning, that's the one that's in January, February, and we market that one as a way to give a Christmas gift to someone. So if you want to give something to someone, but you don't want to give them like a solid object, you want to give them a learning opportunity, you can purchase them one of these workshops. So watch for that up on our website partway through December. Okay, so now that I've covered a bit about the age-friendly programs that we're doing at Lakehead, I'm going to talk about what Lakehead is specifically doing now to become an age-friendly university. So principle 1 from the age-friendly universities is to encourage the participation of older adults in all the core activities of the university, including educational and research programs. So Lakehead has a tuition waiver for seniors. So if you're over 65, and the waiver is equal to 50% of the usual undergraduate tuition fee. So you can, you just fill out a form, I believe it's online actually, and then you can take a normal undergraduate course for half the price as usual. Principle 6 is to ensure that the university's research agenda is informed by the needs of an aging society and to promote public discourse on how higher education can better respond to the varied interests and needs of older adults. And principle 7 is to increase the understanding of students of the longevity dividend and the increasing complexity and richness that aging brings to our society. So the Center for Education and Research on Aging and Health at Lakehead University, they're doing a lot of work on this. So they have a lot of studies. Their studies tend to be more based on the healthcare aspect of aging. So they look at things like dementia and living with dementia, and then caregivers who are maybe looking after their partner who is aging and some of the struggles that they might face that way. So they are doing the most research on aging. They're doing all the studies, the journal articles, everything like that. Principle 8 is to enhance access for older adults to the university's range of health and wellness programs and its art and cultural activities. So a great example of this is the Third Age Learning at Lakehead lecture series that I talked about earlier. So this could be considered in art and cultural activities. And again, we want to just increase access for older adult learners to learning in an informal way. And then principle 10 is to ensure regular dialogue with organizations representing the interests of the aging population. So we partner with the Third Age Network to offer the Third Age Learning Series. I'm also a member of the Age Friendly Aurelia Advisory Committee. And it also helps to do things like this, like to give presentations to community members and community organizations to ensure that we're having dialogue with organizations like this, and that the interests of older adult learners are included in our programming. And so what are our next steps to becoming an age-friendly university? We want to continue to build support for age-friendly work by connecting with additional departments at the university. So for example, we've started to connect with the gerontology department, and I am supervising a Master's of Public Health student this year who is in the Master's of Public Health program specializing in gerontology. And we made that connection through doing a presentation to her class. And so she has started to work with me on age-friendly work and starting to develop some more age-friendly programs. We also want to work with community partners on projects and programs that align with the 10 age-friendly principles. So for example, intergenerational learning, we want to offer some more health, arts, or culture programs. And then finally, we want to connect with community partners that are engaging in aging-related work to build support and better understand the needs of older adult learners. And so presentations like this are a great example of connecting with the community. And I do want to say that I think it's really important that we make these connections with community members so that we can better understand the needs of older adult learners. Because I will admit, like myself, I am not an older adult. I'm quite young. And so what I think the needs of older adult learners are might not be accurate. And so that's why I'm really passionate about, if you have ideas for a program that you want, reach out to me, reach out to Lakehead, like tell us what you want to see so that we can plan for that. So again, like I said, we want to hear from you. We want to better understand the learning needs, interests, and wants of older adult learners. So if you have any programs and events that you want us to host or you're interested in us developing, you can absolutely email me. My email is there, ekwolst@lakeheadu.ca. Yeah, and anything that you're interested in, we would be happy to work with you on that and get it started. And I think, oh yeah, so these are just some recommended resources. So if you want to learn more about lifelong learning or age-friendly universities in general, these are some good websites to check out. So this one, this is the Age-Friendly University Global Network. So if you go to this link, you can see all the universities that are currently age friendly. So we just have a few in Canada. So I know McMaster is one. The University of Manitoba is one. I believe the Ontario Tech University is one, but we don't have that many yet. A few of the colleges are too as well. This Forbes article explains age-friendly universities. It's a bit of a primer. And then, oh yeah, as I mentioned before, McMaster's one, so you can check out their programs, and then Age-Friendly Tech University as well. So they have actually received the designation and they're actually considered age-friendly. And I think that is, yeah, that's everything.
Emily, thank you so much for that. So on a personal note, one of the reasons why I was so thrilled when you agreed to join us for the speaker series is because my mom recently retired, and she had asked me if I knew of any place where she could do further education, because she was interested in doing it, but just wasn't aware. And in my role, it's finding the resources. So when I found out about what you're doing, I was like, oh, this is great, the way that can tie in. Because the reality is that 60 is the new 60, that people have never lived these ages before. And so to give people opportunities to expand themselves is so great. I have a couple of questions for you, and then I'll let you go, because I know that you are a busy person. And so
no problem.
Time. So would you be able to tell us what are some challenges that you face in becoming an age-friendly university? You talked about it a little bit, but I'm just curious, is it that it's just getting the word out there right now, or is there, what would you say are the challenges, if you have any? Maybe it's not.
I would say the main thing is having the higher level management actually approve the application to become an age-friendly university. So if a university submits their desire to become an age-friendly university to the age-friendly global network, it isn't like an approval or not approval thing. They just have to submit a statement saying that they are agreeing that their programming and their policies will reflect those principles. It's not like they're not evaluated. So the hardest part is in the application. It's getting the higher level management to agree to endorse all of those principles. And so based on the research I did and some of the struggles that we're having here, the higher level management, they might bring up concerns about staffing. Like they might say, okay, well, do we need to hire another staff person just to focus on all of this age-friendly work? What happens if we can endorse those principles? Will that take away from the focus on undergraduate students? Things like that. So they have those concerns, which are valid. And so it's really getting them to realize that it's a good idea and it's doable, and getting them to agree to that submission of the principles that is difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine that, because there's part of it too where we're trying to help people change their mentalities on what it means to age. That it is growing older and not, now we like to say around here, if you're not aging, you're dead. But for some people, they want to embrace aging. They're just not sure what that will look like. So understandable to me that there's some questions that you face, and convincing people is a work in progress. For sure.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
You're doing good work. And
Thank you.
it sounds like you're convincing some people, because you're doing the things. So good for you. On average, how many people do you have who attend your workshops?
It varies on the workshop, honestly. So for example, the chocolate one was really popular, and I think we had about 25.
Amazing.
I think the lowest that we have is about 4 or 5 for a workshop.
Oh, that's great.
Which isn't too bad. Sometimes it's nice to have a bit of a smaller group.
Yeah.
But it varies. It depends on what people are interested in, right? So everyone was interested in chocolate. A lot of people, exactly. A lot of people were interested in bread making, because sourdough was such a big thing at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yes. And you said that, I was like, oh, way to play into the popular movements.
I know. Yeah.
I did not get into sourdough making. Did you?
I did not. No.
I mean,
No.
it's impressive, but not quite what I'm into. So I love that you have a range of numbers because I love that it's an opportunity for social interaction that can be on a more intimate level or on
Mhm.
a broader scope, which is great. Because yeah, that social interaction piece is huge. And when
Yes.
people can
Yeah.
feel like they're learning a skill, that's great. Did you do the chocolate one?
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It was great. It was so much fun. But I do agree about that social interaction piece. And that is something that we've struggled with over the pandemic is trying to create these opportunities for social engagement, but online.
yeah.
Um, and it is possible with a smaller workshop size, because people can actually like engage with each other and like ask questions. It can be harder in some of the bigger ones. So for example, the third age learning one lecture series that I talked about, that's a really big group. So that's about like 80 to 120 people. So
Wow.
there isn't that option for social interaction. In that it's harder to ask the speaker questions. You can't really talk with other community members. And when we did it in person, though, with that number of people, it was fine. People could talk to each other. They could talk to whoever they were sitting next to. They could talk to people during the coffee break. They could talk to people at the registration table. But when we moved it online at the beginning of the pandemic, we found that the social interaction for that dropped.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that makes sense. It's hard when there's hundreds of people online, but I love
yeah.
that you had served coffee and cookies in person.
Yes, and we're going to get back to that. We that's our plan for fall 2022 is to get back to that. But we do want to offer it in a hybrid format,
Okay.
which we're just trying to figure out how to do now. So we want like a Zoom going, so people who aren't comfortable attending in person yet can still Zoom in from wherever they are,
Yes.
and then we can have people in person at the St. Paul Center.
Oh, that's great. I love that you're providing different opportunities and you're right. Zoom allows you to connect with people all over the world.
Yes,
In ways that we
exactly.
haven't before, which is really great. Okay, so you named off some really great your speaker series, your workshops.
Mhm.
What has been your favorite series so far?
Oh, for this speaker series,
Yes.
probably the psychology of happiness. We did that one this winter, so it ran January to February. And we had speakers. They just talked about the psychology of happiness. So they talked. One speaker talked about the different happiness levels of people in different demographics. So they talked about like older people are generally actually happier than younger people, and why that might be. The happiness of people in different income levels and why that might be. And we had the speakers, they were just very varied. So one was like a neuroscientist, one was more of like a pop psychology. And then one who talked about the varied levels of happiness was more like a stats person.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And it was very well timed, I think, like the middle of winter.
Yes.
You're a little down from having to be inside all the time. The weather's terrible, to talk about happiness and like what makes people happy and makes people unhappy.
I love that you have such a diverse crowd of happiness because when I think of happiness, I don't think of statistics. But
No, I
then,
know. Yeah.
but then I know some people who are super into statistics and they're like so happy about
Mhm.
math. It just makes them delighted. Good for them. Do you have a favorite workshop that you've done, or is chocolate top, or is there another workshop that you're like, oh, that one was the highlight?
Oh, that's hard. I think the chocolate one. Yeah, I think that's still the top workshop, but I'm excited to keep planning. So in a few
Yeah.
months, I'm going to start planning for what we do for the 12 days of learning. So we'll do those workshops again. Um, I have a few ideas too. It's what we
Okay.
do too, because we work with businesses. It's good to see like what businesses are doing at that point.
Mm,
So if we have any like new businesses that come up over the summer or fall, it would be a good idea for us to work with them on the 12-day stuff, because it's beneficial for them as well, because then we encourage people to buy local. We help to give them some sort of like free marketing.
that's really, I love that. I love that you're invested in local communities, both
Yeah.
in providing age-friendly opportunities and also investing in local businesses. So now, if you can't tell me, that's okay, but I'm just wondering what the cost point is for some of these things, for speaker series, for workshops. I get like with the chocolate one, you're getting so many things and a learning
Yeah.
opportunity on top of that. But what could people expect if they were going to sign up for the speaker series or sign up for a workshop, kind of that range?
So the third age learning at Lakehead series, that one's $59 for 5 weeks.
Wow.
And it does, yeah. So it's not too bad. It's about like the price of a movie ticket. And when we move back to in person, that includes coffee and a cookie as well from Mariposa Market, if anyone's familiar with that in Aurelia. The workshops they're $20.
Oh, wow.
Like
That's
the
like
spring into
really
learning in 12
reasonable.
days. Yeah. Yeah. Well, most of them. So
Yeah.
we did one in the winter that was a book for Manticore. And
Hmm.
that one was a bit more like that one was like 35 because the book was a hardcover book and we need to cover the cost of the book. Like we couldn't get the book for $20, but we do try and keep them really accessible. So generally between like 20 to 40, depending on what materials it is that you're getting. The Truth and Reconciliation one was completely free. That was a grant that we got from the Social Science and Humanities Research Council, so that covered that completely. But all of our programming, it's not like revenue generating, so we do try and really like keep costs accessible because we want people in the community to actually be able to participate in them.
Yeah, that's excellent. I really
Mhm.
enjoy that because I've even just for personally, I've looked at things for myself or for other people, and sometimes the cost can be a really limiting factor. So I
Yeah.
love that you're keeping it accessible. And people, especially right now, are trying to be more aware of their spending habits and their income
Yes.
and all
Yeah.
of those things. So that's really great. Do you do anything that's like flower arranging or anything like that? Like you have bread, you've got chocolate. You do anything craft?
We haven't done one with flower arrangements. No, that's a good idea though.
I mean,
Yeah. I should write
I
that
think so.
down and we could do
Go
that
for it.
this winter.
I feel like people involved for sure. Okay, well, I feel like during your presentation, you answered the majority of my questions. And I'm
Mhm.
again so thankful that you presented, that you took time today to join us in all of these things. Do you know now what your next speaker series will be, or is that you're in the planning phase now and you'll have that set for the fall?
We're still in the planning phase for
Okay,
that one. Yeah. So I don't know. And we do work with the Third Age Network on that one,
love
which
that.
is a committee of 5 seniors in Aurelia. And so we generally we choose whatever ideas they're interested in.
That's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
because so many times I find that service opportunities for older adults are service to, not service with. And
Yeah.
so even
Yeah.
that, like, that's great that you are like that you are understanding. I need
Yes.
to hear
Yeah.
the voices of
So
people.
I have to meet with them first at some point in the next few weeks, actually, probably. September is approaching quickly.
It is
To
approaching.
see what they're interested in, and then we can start looking at speakers. And then it'll go up on our website once we know.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
So I'm just going to finish off and share my screen now
for sure.
to just talk about what's coming up for us. So again, Emily, thank you for your time with us. For the participants, thank you for
Mhm.
joining us. This recording will be made available on YouTube. You can feel free to watch it, to share it. I know that this is something I'm going to send to my mom and say, hey, look, there are opportunities if you want to find something to do. Right now, she's enjoying her time. Her time is busy. This is what I've heard from a lot of people who've retired. They have end up having more time, that they're doing more things than they did before they retired. But just having those opportunities, such a great opportunity. If you would like to continue this conversation, we both for third age learning, if you want to continue a conversation for Better with Age, we are hoping to create a social group, possibly hybrid, in the fall that would be social and have some educational pieces to it. And different opportunities to learn about the resources that we have in our community. So if you're interested in that, you can email me at jwickens@cfssc.ca. Now, coming up, our next webinar that we have is, oh, There we go. Our next webinar that we are presenting is not with the Better with Age series, but we are really big advocates for aging. Again, if you're not aging, you're dead. Also, Better with Age, we think that growing older is an opportunity to grow in your mindset, to grow in what your abilities, to grow in your skill set, and just to grow. As Emily mentioned, there's the U-shaped curve of happiness, where as you age, a lot of people end up happier than they are when they're younger. So we're talking about ageism. Ageism is one of the oldest prejudices that we have in our society, and one that's the least addressed. We've made great strides talking about racism and sexism, but we're not there yet. Obviously, we have a lot more work to do in those areas, but ageism is one that often goes untalked about. And so we're doing a flip the script, ageism in media, recognizing ageism around you so that you know not to internalize it and how to speak out against it. You can join us for this free webinar to embrace aging and combat ageism on September 21st, 2022 at 10:30 a.m. And we will be sending out we'll make the link available to register for that. So we hope that you would join us for that. Once again, thank you, Emily, for your time with us. We're so grateful for your time today. And I'm so looking forward to hear about all the new opportunities that you will have through Lakehead University for a variety of ages.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This has been great. A great way to start off the long weekend.
Yes. Yeah. Happy Canada Day tomorrow. So
Yes.
I hope that you have some celebration with your family and friends and whatever that might look like for you. Anyway, thank you again for joining us, and get in contact with Emily. Learn something new.
Please do.
Right. Speaker series, these workshops, you could impress people with your knowledge about chocolate. I've learned new things myself. So thanks again so much, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.